Hello and welcome to another Board Crazy review. I am D. Today we are reviewing Sorcerer City. I am joined, as ever, by...
I'm Graham.
And I'm Will. Sorcerer Extreme.
So, we are going to be giving our thoughts on this here game, specifically the Kickstarter version that we have here, I guess.
I don't think the gameplay is any different.
We just got nice components. Yeah. But before we get reviewing Sorcerer City here, we're going to run my introduction to the game from our gameplay video, which you can also check out if you haven't yet. Just to, give you an idea of what this is if you haven't actually played it yourself or watched us play it. So here that goes. Sorcerer City is a game for 1 to 6 players, designed by Scott Caputo and published by Druid City Games. A game of Sorcerer City takes place over 5 years, and each year players must rebuild their own district of the titular town, with the ultimate goal of being crowned its head wizard. Players start each game with identical sets of 12 starting tiles, which they must shuffle up and keep in a face-down stack. Each round, players have 2 minutes to assemble their districts by flipping over one tile at a time and placing it adjacent to a previously placed tile. Once the 2 minutes are up, no more tiles may be placed, and then players tally up their scores. Players score each round by completing goals printed on certain tiles. There are 3 types of goals. Group goals require a player to create a group of 3 or more connected tiles of the marked color. Players earn 1 point of that color per tile represented in the group. Line goals work the same way, but the connected tiles must be in a vertical or horizontal line. Shield goals, meanwhile, score when at least 2 neighboring tiles contain a shield. Points are earned for the center shield and all neighboring shields, but only go towards the color of the center shield. The 4 colors represent 4 different resources. Yellow is money, red is influence, green is prestige, and blue is raw magic. Once players have tallied up their 4 scores for their district, they then choose one of their raw magic transformation cards to transform all of their raw magic into one of the other 3 resources. Once this is done, players then earn influence rewards. The player who collects the most influence each year wins both its prestige bonus and use of its influence reward card. The player with the second most influence gets their choice of the 2, while the third and lower get differing rewards depending on the player count. After the rewards are collected, players may then use the money they earned to buy new tiles from the market, which they can use in future rounds. Each player may buy up to 2 tiles by default, although additional buys may be earned. Many of these market tiles contain useful spells, which can be used at a specific point during a round if it's in a player's district. After buying, players collect their prestige for the year, with the player who scores the least earning a free tile from the top of the vendor deck of the corresponding year. Finally, all players receive a monster tile at the end of the year. The monsters are chosen during setup, with Tier 1 monsters being added after the first 2 years, and Tier 2 monsters after years 3 and 4. These foul beasts are capable of wreaking havoc at different times during a round, such as forcing players to permanently destroy a tile from their district during the building phase. To start a new round, players disassemble their districts and shuffle up all their tiles again, including the monster and any new ones they've purchased. After the 5th year's build is complete, the player with the most influence that round gains the prestige reward. Then players tally up all the prestige they've earned throughout the game to determine the winner. Okay, Sorcerer City. Boys, tile laying on the clock. I feel like it's a safe thing to say that as a collective, we are fond of such a mechanics,
Yeah, I like the domino mechanic.
Yeah, I feel like we generally enjoy them. So we're gonna start we'll start in the gameplay, as we always do. And I would say the main bit of the gameplay, the actual tile laying, the build phase, if you will, is good. I would say. I think it's fun.
It works.
Yeah. Well, which is a good start at the very least.
It does work.
It does work. You're trying to make paths and groups of colors.
You can lay one down at a time.
Yes.
That's different.
You have to lay one down at a time.
Yeah, you have to lay one down. So you don't know what's coming out next, too. So that's really cool.
You kind of give yourself some idea if you look, but yeah. I feel like the 4 colors is a good amount. I feel like that works here. I think any more or less probably would have felt like
too much or too little. Yeah.
Well, there's kind of like 5 because there are wild tiles too.
Right, but they're everything though. So you can kind of throw them wherever and you don't have to worry about them too much. But yeah, I feel like they struck a good balance there. I feel like the patterns themselves on the tiles are good too. They do allow for interesting shapes
Right.
and some degree of planning ahead. And you do have to think about like how do I want to like orient this to plan for the future and score more points.
Sure. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and I felt like the 2 minutes. Go on.
Sorry, and I also felt like the way you scored points was appropriate. The different ways they felt like actual different strategies. So it was, I felt like that added a lot of good decision making in there.
Even if there are only 3 types of goals in the game, I never felt like I'm wanting for something else. I always felt like it was a good, just a little selection of ways to score, and they work, each one of them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I feel like the 2 minutes, I guess, is the standard time. If you use the phone app, I guess you can play on different difficulties, but I feel like 2 minutes also worked really well. Usually
it did.
You can get most of, if not all of your tiles down. But
it gets progressively harder because you collect more tiles.
It certainly gets harder, yeah.
Yep,
I wouldn't have minded playing it on easy with more time.
That might feel a little too easy.
Yeah, I don't know if the game needs...
Especially early on.
Yeah, especially would be... But,
I don't know if the game needs added length.
One thing I will say about the actual tiling mechanic that bothered me is, and we talk about this every game, is luck. It almost was too much luck involved in it.
The game in general has a lot of luck, yeah.
Yeah, it feels like in a game like this where really it comes down to you putting together a puzzle, there shouldn't be that much luck involved.
Yeah, it can swing. The luck can swing wildly too. And I get what you're saying, because there could be one person in the game who draws like a monster tile first, and it's the first one down, and that's like that for them every round. That's almost gonna guarantee them a victory, or
not guarantee them a victory, but it's gonna put them in
if they're good at everything else. Yeah.
To clarify, like it's luck because you're just shuffling up and stacking your tiles, not really knowing the order that they're going to come out, and the order in which you get them can drastically change how you play, how many points you get at the end of the round.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know what the alternative is. I don't know how you make it better. I don't feel like having them all face up would make things better. I feel like that would make things too easy.
It would make it too easy. I don't know. I don't know if there is a better way to do it. It's just the way it is.
It is. Luck is definitely part of it. Also, in the same hand, it kind of allows for a little bit of cheating, which is I don't like. Like the backs of the tiles provide information to you. Yeah. You will know if it's a monster, if it's like a base thing, or if it's what vendor it came from.
You'll notice us in the gameplay like shuffle with our eyes away, and then we'll like cut the deck and put it down, and then.
But if you're playing with like a sneaky kind of player, you could easily just like, got a monster on top. How convenient,
Yeah, exactly.
And that's strange to me. That was, I don't know.
It happened once where I shuffled them and I was done shuffling and I looked and there was a monster on top and I went, well, now I know it's there, and I actually cut my deck. And then what I would do is I actually would palm it so that I couldn't see the top one, and I held it like that before we start because I just didn't want to know.
I pretty much shuffled until I had one of my base cards on top, so I knew that because. Yeah.
And they put those symbols on the back so that it was easier to sort the game at the end when you're cleaning up. But yeah, it does create this side effect of you kind of know what's coming out sometimes, and
it does.
So I guess we've talked a bit about the monsters. We could probably talk about them a little bit more in depth. I think as an inclusion in this game, it's a pretty good idea. I don't think they work exactly perfectly though. I think like thematically, I think they're a good inclusion, and I think even mechanically, they're kind of a fun twist. You've got this sort of issue that you have to suddenly worry about, the idea that this monster might come out and mess up your plans to some degree. And they're not like a huge deal, they're usually not going to like win or lose the game for you or anything like that, but there is this issue, like, especially towards the end of the game, where you might have like a bunch of monsters in your deck, and just having to keep track of what each one does without, while also trying to quickly build something is just a pain. You have the cards there that like explain them. You can't waste time in this game.
No.
And you really have to waste time if you have to like refresh your memory. Because it's easy to forget. It might seem like it's nothing, like a 4 at most monsters, but just like the subtle.
Our last round in our game, the last monster, I forgot what it did, so it's like I don't even know what to do with it, so I just threw it down on my tile. I'm like, I guess I'm gonna find out at the end what this does. And I might have cheated there because it may have had to go in a specific.
Yeah, if they had just like maybe a little bit of iconography on them or something, just a little explanation of what they do actually on the tile, that would have helped. But
I think with the monsters, I feel about them the same way I feel about most of this game, which is that subjectively, at a personal level, I find them to be very much fun to use, but objectively, they're extremely frustrating, and I don't know how well they're utilized because yes, a lot of them have to be played in real time. Like the Golem one, I use that as an example. So the Golem one is that he shuts off basically your longest open line. Well, what if he comes out with 30 seconds left in the 5th round and you have like maybe 3 or 4 lines going, like I did.
Now you got to look at all your lines and figure out.
And count them? No, see, like most people are going to do what I did and just eye it. And like I judge it and be like, it's going here. Like it looks like the longest open one. But I'm not going to spend my time to count because I'm going to lose 15 seconds.
Yeah.
So it's like, do they want you to actually do that? Or, like, I think they do, but I don't know. That's just not fun,
Yeah, no, I agree.
At all.
Yeah, some of them, not all of them are so complicated up. Some of them are just, they're
Real
easy. Just
simple.
like remove something with a single color on it or something like that, And it's pretty straightforward, but yeah.
I want to move over to another mechanic now. That I think it's going to, the tracks, all the scoring on the,
the colors.
Yeah, it's probably the weakest part of the game.
We haven't played this like 1,000 times or anything, so I can't say with absolute certainty here, but it feels like there's a major imbalance between the colors.
Yes, and how and when they're used and when they're useful and stuff, it just feels like there's clear resources that are way more powerful and way more useful than the other resources.
Specifically blue and red.
Yes, I think we'll all agree on that. It's
blue, the raw magic and the influence. I feel like you focus on those, you're probably going to do pretty well. The money, the yellow it's useful early on. Later in the game, you're going to have probably more opportunity to rack up money, but it's not going to be as useful because buying isn't as useful later in the game.
You can't even buy your last round. I mean, I understand why you can't buy in your last round.
It's absolutely useless in the last round, except for the possible tiebreaker, which is unlikely.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily, I think, bother me maybe as much as it seems it bothers you two. I think very much it was intentional that they made money useful early on and then less useful later on. I think they won this game to have sort of like to have that play into a strategy. Like, I should maybe collect money early and then focus on other things late. I think the main problem that has, though, is that you almost can't afford to try a different strategy because I think it would be really hard, perhaps, to keep up if you did. And by that I mean, like, you can't afford to kind of go money light early on.
Yeah.
Because if you do that, you're not going to be able to get the best tiles, most likely. I mean, sure, there are some, if you get lucky with the achievement cards, you might get some that allow you to get free tiles and stuff, but they may not even be out there.
You could just go light on prestige one round, get last place, and then get a free choice of one at the end of the round.
That's true, but that's only maybe viable in like round 1 or 2 as a purposeful strategy. The game is sort of like trying to telegraph to you need money early, don't need it later, but then you're not getting the greens that you would need later. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, I think it's not just an issue with yellow; it's an issue with green as well. Like if you focus strictly on green and have like the perfect combination of tiles, you might be able to pull that off. But for the most part, it feels really underpowered because again, there are other ways to accumulate prestige beyond just scoring it on your district. You can get it from the influence bonus. You can get it from your raw magic. So like. And focusing on that leaves you weak in these other things that are more powerful, typically. Like
there's no reason to go for green, almost.
No, there's no reason to go for balance at all. Yeah. You have to pretty much sell out on one, maybe two things.
Yeah, it's either and it's not even like you have to sell because you can't sell out on gold.
Yeah, no,
and you can't, and you same thing with green. You almost have to do all your resource into red or blue.
Yeah. Yeah, for me it was, well actually mine, I think I'd probably say I acquired more, like I did a lot of yellow early and then I used the money I got from yellow in round 1 and 2 to just buy almost exclusively blue. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it is kind of like a 1A, 1B, where like 1A is like the main thing and that's that one color you're buying a lot of, and then there's a little bit of some color that's helping you buy that other color.
Yeah.
You used a lot of red.
Yeah. I did,
which was really, I thought...
it almost worked.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
But again, it becomes... There's a cap on how useful that is in the last round.
Yeah.
There's a cap on everything, actually. The 60-point limit per resource every year, I think that was very much intentional because of this.
Yeah.
Like, I know in the last round of our video, you could have had way more than 60 raw magic.
I think I could have got close to like 9. Oh, well, more 60 raw magic, but I think I could have got close to like 90 points total.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I think this is why I feel like the resources and how you collect them and how they're balanced almost go. it affects so much in this game though, because
Like
it also it affects the way, the person who gets the most influence, right? So if you focus on magic or influence, you can either transfer all your magic to influence or just have the most influence. You get all the benefits that keep you strong in this game then. You get to buy first, you get the prestige, and you get the influence reward. So now you're way ahead of everybody else when you already have all the best stuff.
Yeah.
Even though I don't necessarily think there's always going to be a runaway leader problem in this, it makes it very frustrating from another perspective.
I would maybe reverse like the buy order so that the person with the least influence would buy first.
Something to help mitigate that problem where it seems where the person who now got the most magic now has the opportunity to buy the best tile that's going to keep giving them more magic.
Yeah, it can feel kind of hopeless at points in this game if you're lagging behind, because it can be difficult to catch up, because like you're saying, people in front are getting the bigger rewards.
Yeah, we should be clear, though, that even though we are criticizing its scoring system, the session in our video, the scoring, I think, was relatively close.
That's why I don't think it's not necessarily it's not necessarily a runaway leader problem.
No.
But there are exploitable strategies that you can take advantage of.
There's not much room for experimentation. You kind of have to
do
one of two things, or
Yeah.
There were a few times I just want to say, though, where I was surprised. I have like 45 blue. Put them all into prestige.
Yeah.
I got this whole game.
Yeah.
And then Graham would be like, well, I can use an unused reward card and gain another reward card. And then he's like, I have 54 green.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't even get the most this round. I'm
blue
saying, like, there
and
are
red.
other ways,
Blue
and
and
I
red.
was really impressed sometimes at how the game was just kind of like, oh, you thought you could exploit this system. Well, no.
One more thing, I guess it's kind of gameplay, it's kind of design, it's kind of, I don't know. I just feel like this game is too big for its own good. Like, for what is basically a fairly straightforward, tile-laying puzzle sort of game, it takes a long time to play. There's a lot of components. Yeah. I don't know why it has to, I don't know if I would even want it to be this much.
There's a lot of components, definitely. So there's a lot going on. It's almost like I like everything that's there.
Yeah. It's just big. It takes an enormous amount of table space to play this game. Way more than you think it should for this sort of game.
A while to set up.
Yeah, way longer to clean up, even with the handy-dandy little symbols they give you to help you out there.
I don't know.
I can't imagine having a table big enough.
I was
to support
surprised
6.
because it was like when I read about this game, and it's like, well, you play it with a timer. So to me that makes it, whenever timers include, I'm like, oh, they're trying to keep the game length to a reasonable amount. But because you have rewards to go through, and you have scoring, and you have buying, all these stuff between, it just bloats everything out too much. It is kind of like if you're playing with 3 or more players, you should probably budget for 90 minutes.
And the part that I like most, the actual building part of the game, is the shortest part of the game. You are limited to 10 minutes in a standard game.
Yeah. I will say this though, I was entertained throughout in all of our sessions of it. Even the buying and stuff. I liked thinking about what do I want to get, the rewards and all that. I was constantly riveted. Though it also, I feel like this is some of the most tired I've ever felt at the end of playing a game. Yeah. Every time we play it, I'm like, I don't know if it's the stress of putting out tiles in real time or just the little bit of bloat that it does have. But at the end, I was like, that was fun, but man, I don't want to play it necessarily right away for a little bit.
Yeah, again,
too much hassle.
For what you're getting here, I just don't think it justifies how much you have to put into it.
When I want to spend that much time on a game, I'm going to pick something that's heavier and meant to be longer.
In a similar amount of time.
Yeah.
Which we just did. I mean...
Yeah, it's true.
All right, let's talk about, I guess we talked about the gameplay a lot. Let's talk about the components, what we have here. This is a well-made game. There's no questioning that. The money was put into this, especially the version we have, this deluxe version, which comes with these fancy metal coins here. And, oh, look at that. Ooh,
listen to
that.
You hear that?
That was added in post.
Solid gold. That was added.
Yeah, they're nice. They're superfluous, but they are nice. They feel good. They stack nicely.
Your coins can double as throwing stars.
They do double as weapons if you are in get attacked. And the tiles are it's all like primary colors. It's not like very unique looking necessarily, but it is everything's well made. It does look nice, I think, for the most part.
the Kickstarter Deluxe Edition it's very nice.
It's definitely a high quality product.
And honestly, they give you the other the basic stuff too, which is I put under the tray there, and that's it's all fine.
The cardboard's good and thick. It doesn't feel
I do want to mention one thing. The theme, I think, is both used extremely well and extremely annoyingly at times.
Oh.
Well, like what Graham was saying earlier with the luck thing, you might not be able to get a building you want, or something might come out at the wrong time. It feels like as a sorcerer you'd be able to cope with that. And if you were building a city, I feel like they'd give you more than 2 minutes to do it. So already the theme, there's a bit of a disconnect where I'm like, okay, we're building a new district in a city, and we have to do it in 2 minutes. Interesting.
No planning.
But then other than that, though, so that part of the theme is weak. But other than that, though, the way the monsters and the magic works and other things like that,
it's fine.
I enjoyed it.
I mean,
it's fun.
It's not a unique theme in the slightest.
Before we score, we should mention that we have different scoring systems. Oh, that sounded great.
Start that was deeply unpleasant.
Before we score, we should mention that we have different scoring systems. I do letter grades. Graham does thumbs. D does out of 5 stars. And he does half-star ratings. The reason we do this is...
because we're annoying.
It's because we're annoying, yeah. It fits our quirky personalities, and at the end of the day, we find scoring in reviews to be a bit arbitrary. What matters more is what we said before this point in the review. But we're going to give you some scores just to sort of summarize our feelings. So, D, why don't you go first? 5 thoughts.
5 stars.
Okay.
Yeah, they're this is a frustrating game. It is fun in the moment, building your districts up. I think that part of the game works almost as well as, any other sort of game of the genre. I have fun with it sometimes, but there are just as many times where I'm like, come on, with this game, maybe a bit more viability to different strategies. I'd probably like this a heck of a lot more. As it is, though, it's just, again, we kind of mentioned it before. I just can't imagine pulling this off the shelf often instead of other things. I'm going to give it 2.5 stars out of 5.
I think this game is a lot of great ideas poorly executed. Or maybe it's not, and I'm just not getting it, but there's enough there for me to be disappointed after our several playthroughs of this. And so I can't, it is disappointing because there are fun moments in this game, and I don't want to.
What's it going to be, Graham? You got thumbs?
Sometimes I never know. I feel like I can't go in the middle. It's almost got to be 1 thumb up and 1 thumb down.
Okay. No, that's fair.
Which is equal to the middle.
No, it's not. I don't think it. In the middle, it's you're kind of neutral in general. There's things I like about this game.
All right, fine.
But there's things I don't like about
this. First, I think, for your scoring system.
So I'm going to give it 1 thumb up and 1 down.
All right, fair enough. Will, you should like this the most. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I do. The puzzle part, we all agree, is really enjoyable. It's so enjoyable that I actually get a little bit of a rush while doing it because the timer and everything. I think the desired effect of that part definitely comes through when you actually play it. Maybe it has too many ideas to be able to do them all well. And then you guys made a valid point, and in a tile game, especially with real-time mechanics, maybe don't have too many ideas. The more you streamline it, the less janky and unfair it's going to feel. So I completely get why you guys feel like the game sometimes stole some of the fun away. But I really appreciate how well balanced the score. From our final scores, I realized there is a lot of really intelligent balancing in there, even if it's not always easy to see it. And I just do have fun playing it. So for that reason, I think I'm going to give it a B.
Okay.
I mean, I was floating in that B-B range, but I think a B is fair.
Okay. Thank you for watching this review of Sorcerer City. Feel free to leave comments in the space below. Let us know what your thoughts are. Do you hate us now? Also, you can subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet for more videos like this every Wednesday for the games that we play on Fridays. Guys, I think that's going to do it today. Unless you have any closing statements.
Well, I want to talk about the gameplay a little bit here.
We didn't really get the theme right.
All right, well, all right. Until next time, everybody, thank you for watching again. Goodbye.
Bye.
See ya.
Toodle.